Vivek.
I'd agree. Vivek kind of blew everyone out of the water again.
I think it's still Vivek.
Ron DeSantis.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
The way he's able to persuade and like look into the camera at people like viewing from home, it carries a message and people can see that.
The only one that didn't make a fool of themselves was Ron DeSantis. I think everyone else kind of looked very childish. Nobody really looked like a leader up there. A lot of people looked like they were squabbling. The only one who kind of avoided the fray was, again, Ron DeSantis. He showed himself to be a leader and he showed himself to be competent, whether that be on abortion, whether that be on governorship, whether that be on Ukraine or the economy.
I do have my reservations. I'm not 100% on board with Vivek. I do have concerns with his business dealings, especially with China. But right now, he seems to be the most consistent. He seems to be the most promising, and he is different from the other candidates.
One of the biggest one is just he's, like half the age of so are the oldest politicians we have. I think a lot of the young people are just sick and tired of seeing so many of like that older generation in politics and in power, and they want someone new with like fresh ideas.
I see him as like the spokesperson of like next generation conservatives. I'd say Pence, because I just feel like a lot of stuff he was saying was like pretty cringe.
I want to say Christie.
I'm torn between Christie and Mike Pence.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. They're just, both of them, I think, are running for a position that no one really wants them to run for.
I think either Pence or Christie, like neither of them really help themselves very much. You can't win the party without at least some support from the MAGA base, and he has no support among Trump voters. And so, like, he's trying to play to the Never Trumpers, and the Never Trumpers are just not big enough to get him any type of traction. Just reminded me of like me and my siblings. Like that's not something that you want in the Oval Office. That's not how a leader behaves.
It's a bit of both. I feel like some of the things that were said, I feel like it kind of had to be a rebuttal. Especially if you're making accusations of like someone's company being involved with China.
It's distracting. I feel like the only person who can get away with it is Trump. I think he effectively attacked people in 2016 because he's really good at finding people's weaknesses and really pointing that out.
I thought they were pathetic. Yeah, like someone who's completely politically irrelevant attacking the front row of the Republican Party is like, okay. And nothing was like, ooh, got him. You know what I mean? There was never a moment where it was like, okay, yeah, they actually called it. It was like, I'm mad at you because you're in front of me. And that was just, it was like, okay, what was the point of that?
I feel like it's fruitless. I don't see the point in it.
However, seeing him constantly attacked only helps this cause.
This is time that they need to talk about their policies and what they would do if they were president. I don't think it makes any sense to attack Trump.
I think it'd have to be someone like really like with a strong presence and name that's already established pretty well in the political world at least. Any other person or like just a random like third-party candidate, I don't think would be a good idea, nor would I be interested in.
A third-party candidate has only ever split one party's vote and never actually introduced like a third alternative.
No, not really. I mean, in theory, I get like the points you're trying to make, but like in reality, like realistically speaking, third-party candidates, they just don't work.
What would be interesting is if Trump and what's his name, RFK, ran on a ticket together, because he would pull away a lot of this like growing populist sentiment within the Democratic Party, and Trump would clearly pull away a lot of the populist sentiment from the Republican Party, and that would be a very interesting where we might see an easily like 1/3 of the country supporting each of those groups. So yeah, I think that would be the most viable third-party candidacy.
The current state of the GOP party is they're being outmaneuvered. They've been outflanked by the Democrats for a long time. And when you control the education system, when you control the system of information, when you control the media, you're basically brainwashing a generation.
It is incredibly divided. I feel especially here in LA, I think we see the strongest points of that divide in terms of people who are very anti-Trump and very pro-Trump. I think has caused a lot of divide in the GOP party.
It's making a slow but steady recovery.